Welcome everybody to Cheap Pops. I'm Dave.
I'm Nick.
We don't have a lot to talk about today, but there's a couple reviews and a couple of... You like that? You like that?
Yeah.
A couple Nick's picks to go through. He picked two different events this time. Some news and stuff going on. So who was the WWE champ that showed up on Raw?
Jinder Mahal.
But luckily, then as soon as he came out, I knew what was going to happen. The Rock interrupted him and cut a promo on him, and it went way too long, in my opinion. I mean, The Rock was doing his usual stuff, but I think it went too long. But
And it wasn't the Croc, people.
Yeah.
It was the Rock.
yeah, and it was all right. I mean, it was cool that Jinder Mahal got that spot. I mean, I'm happy for him. That's pretty cool. But,
Right.
Then he said, I'm going to go out to eat tonight. Should I sit in a booth? Should I sit at the bar? And then, of course, he did a long pause and said, or should I sit at the head of the table? That's pretty cool, alluding to he's going to face Roman Reigns. That's what everybody wants at WrestleMania. Well, not everybody, because some people want Cody. But I think it'll be cool to have The Rock against Roman at WrestleMania for the head of the table.
Yes.
You know, and I'm sure the title will be on the line as well, unless Roman loses it at Elimination Chamber, which I could see happening, and then, The Rock screws him out of it, and then they fight at WrestleMania, which, mark that down. That's my prediction. Now, I mean, it was cool to see The Rock. It wasn't that great of a show. I mean, the first Raw of the year.
Man.
Hopefully the day after WrestleMania would be better than last year's was, because, but I still think that's the night that Damian Priest is going to cash in the Money in the Bank, is the night after WrestleMania.
Yes.
Going to do a Dolph Ziggler.
I'm going to talk about how amazing this looks.
Yeah, your Christmas gift to me, my Scarface, The World Is Yours. I think that's really, really cool. So I hung it up today and turned it on. I think it's really, really cool. And we've got the Sting mask, because we're going to talk about World's End, and the Hot Rod flag, just because it looks cool. So
it was awesome.
And we've got as usual, we've got our action figures and stuff on the table,
and we're all decked out.
Yeah, I've got my Stone Cold vest. He's got his new one.
New Stone Cold?
Yeah, and and your new Hulk Hogan shirt, which I think is really, really cool. And
Wait a minute. There we go.
if you like the way this looks, the Cheap Freaking Pops, you can go to cheappops.redbubble.com and buy one.
Yes.
Yeah, because we won't see a lot of money out of it, but you can support the show.
Yeah.
So,
this was the one that we were gonna put on the table once before, but I got playing around with it and accidentally broke his arm off, people.
yeah, because you're a little rough. But so you watched World's End. Do you think MJF is gone and going to WWE, or do you think he signed a new deal?
I think he signed a new deal.
Me too. I mean, I could see him eventually going to WWE, but what's the point of all the... Well, we'll get to the storyline and all that stuff, but what's the point of all of it if he's just going to leave?
Right.
I mean, yeah, well, we'll talk about it. But Andrade is supposedly gone from AEW and going to WWE. I don't really care. Go be with your wife. Have fun. I don't really care.
Right.
Now, he had good matches in AEW, don't get me wrong, but what's he gonna do? I don't think he'll go any higher than the US title.
No.
Now, or the Intercontinental title. And not as long as Gunther has it. Now,
Right.
I don't think Andrade is gonna be the one to take it away from him, so.
No.
Now, but whatever. There's talk that Mercedes Moné, also known as Sasha Banks, is going to go to AEW. There's talks that Deonna Purrazzo is going to AEW because her Impact Wrestling contract is up. I don't want to see Deonna go to WWE because I feel like she'll get lost in the shuffle in WWE.
Like she did before.
Right. I think if she goes to AEW, she'll be a major player, and that's where I'd rather see her go. I'd like to see her stay in Impact because I think the Impact uses her the best, but, do what's best for you. Who am I to tell you what to do with your career, The big news, which I think is great, Kevin Dunn has left WWE. That makes me so happy. Could I not have an epileptic seizure watching Raw anymore? With all the camera cuts and, the shaking of the camera. Can we please change all that now that he's gone?
Oh.
I'm so glad he's gone. he's made more money than he'll ever need, being as high up as he was in the company. So, we don't need you anymore. Just drag it. We don't care. So, what have you been playing for video games lately?
Right now, the remaster of Grand Theft Auto Vice City.
My number 2 game of all time, by the way.
I've been loving it. After 21 years, people have been stuck on one level, I finally passed it. And it was the little RC helicopter mission.
And as I told you, I don't have as much trouble with that one. I have the trouble with racing the car to become the driver for the heist. So that's the one I have trouble with. The helicopter one never really gave me any trouble. But I see how it does for some people. And it can be frustrating at times, but I never let it bother me as much as a lot of people do. So, but is that all you're playing, or are you playing the wrestling game too?
Oh, I've been playing the wrestling game. Been doing a couple of dream matches, in which I sent you a couple of the dream matches.
Yeah, you have actually some pretty cool ones going.
Yes,
I like that.
And hopefully when we do another video game episode, people, we could just sit back and instead of playing, I could just play the dream matches for us to record.
Right.
And do commentary. Commentary.
I could get down with that. That just sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
Because we could just sit there and do the commentary for it, or if I can figure out a way to record it straight off of your, your platform, so we're not doing it to a TV, I'll try to figure that out.
Yes.
And then we could just add the audio of the commentary.
And it would be so much fun.
Yeah, that would be great. That's a good. That's actually a really good idea.
One of the dream matches I did, Hollywood Hulk Hogan versus Eddie Guerrero from '97. Who do you think won? I did 2 matches of it.
Hulk Hogan won.
Hulk Hogan won the first one. Eddie won the second one. And both matches was for the world title.
That's really cool. I like that.
And I kept Eddie as the world champion, and so I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do another little dream match.
Right. Sitting here.
What if Rey Mysterio and Eddie competed for the world title?
Sitting there with that vest on, it just wasn't comfortable. So, yeah. So I haven't been playing anything lately because a lot of stuff's been going on. We're not going to get into that, but
yeah.
I love that shirt. I really do love that shirt. That, as an old school, 80s and 90s fan, that shirt is boss. I really like that.
And it's on the back too, people.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. It makes me think of the Bret Hart one from the early 90s, where it was his face and it was the pink Hitman.
Yes.
I think that's pretty much the same thing. They just made the Hulk Hogan one, which is really cool.
They also have a Stone Cold Steve Austin and Undertaker one. I want Stone Cold Steve Austin one.
I do like the way the Undertaker one looks. The Undertaker merch is kind of hit or miss with me, so
right. But this is absolutely awesome.
Yeah, that's really cool. And he doesn't even. That's one of the chalk line ones, right?
Yes.
Yeah, he doesn't even sell that at his store. It'd probably be like $50 if he sold it at his store with his prices, but
$35 on WWE Shop.
Right.
Which is not bad.
Yep.
Considering it's all over the back and on the front.
That's really cool. I like that. Let's see. Let's go right into one of your.
You knocked down Miro.
Miro fell down. That's all right. Well, how about we do WrestleMania 19 to start? How about that?
Can I switch it to something first?
Okay. Yes, you can. I don't know what he's doing. Well, while you're doing that, I'll talk about the first match of WrestleMania 19. How about that?
All right.
The Cruiserweight title. This is Ruthless Aggression Cruiserweight title era. Matt Hardy. V1
people!
Against Rey Mysterio. A good cruiserweight match. The little MFer Shannon Moore was helping Hardy retain the title on the outside. This is well before Rey Mysterio would become World Heavyweight Champion and all that. And Matt Hardy, the V1 character, was really, really creative.
This was 3 years before he became champion.
Right, and you could see the creativity that Matt Hardy would use later on for the broken Matt Hardy stuff, So I literally have no idea what he's doing over here. It's I hear a belt, and there's a lot of stuff going on over here. So the next match, Undertaker in a handicap match against Big Show and A-Train. Nathan Jones was supposed to be his partner, but I guess he got attacked earlier in the night.
He got attacked in the bathroom.
Oh, in the bathroom.
Ruthless Aggression era. on Sunday Night Heat.
Okay. And Limp Bizkit performed The Undertaker's entrance, the Rollin' theme. Oh man, you got the NWO. You gotta show off the belt.
Yeah!
That's the belt that I got him down in Florida. That's pretty cool. And the wristbands, and yeah. I have a pair of those wristbands over there as well.
He's lucky I don't have the bandana because I would have just threw that on too.
I have the bandana. It's actually in the back of my car. So, but this kind of looked like a thrown together match, wouldn't you? Like they had no real plan of what they were going to do.
Yeah, they didn't have a real plan what to do with Undertaker or what.
Yeah, it didn't even look like they knew what they were going to do if Nathan Jones was in it to begin with. So. I would say this is probably, if not the one of the worst Undertaker matches at WrestleMania.
The best one, in my opinion, has to be Ric Flair, Undertaker, the year prior.
Yeah, I know you really like that one. I like that one too, but it's not my favorite. I mean, my favorite will always be Shawn Michaels and Undertaker from WrestleMania 25. But Nathan Jones hit a nice spin kick on the outside to the Big Show.
He damn near knocked out a 500-pound giant.
To knock him out in the aisle. And Undertaker wins and the streak continues. I don't know if that point, if they were actually mentioning the streak. I think it was a little bit later than that.
Hit or miss.
Yeah. But, I mean, not Undertaker's best work, but what are you going to do? The next match, Trish against Jazz against Victoria for the women's title.
At this point, being that it's they're calling them divas.
Yeah.
This was one of the better matches at this point with the divas.
Right. They weren't really doing the bra and panties matches at this point anymore. I mean, they did later in the night. They had like a pillow fight with the cat fight girls and Stacy Keibler and Tori Wilson.
And we freaking fast forward to that.
Right, but with Trish and Victoria and Jazz, they were actually giving them time to wrestle, and they were actually having good matches, as opposed to like 04 and 05, where it was just bra and panties and all the the weird crap that they were doing. Don't get me wrong, I was like in my early 20s at that point. I was liking the bra and panties stuff too, but seeing what we see now, I wish that they would have given the women's matches more respect. I mean, they did at certain points, but
Yeah.
So, I mean, Trish wins the title, pretty cool. Jazz was always impressive, in my opinion, so,
And I'm so glad I got to meet Jazz.
Yeah, what event was it that she was at? Was it the Wrestling Classic she was at? Or
yes, well, the one where you waited in a line for about an hour to meet Trish.
Oh, that was one of the Legends ones. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I forgot that Jazz was at that one. Yeah. The next match, the WWE Tag Titles, Los Guerreros, Chris Benoit and Rhino against Team Angle. Team Angle came in as the champions. Rhino hit 2 gores in the match.
Gore!
And Shelton Benjamin capitalized. Team Angle retained the title. The triple threat tag matches to me are always, I don't really get into them.
Back in the day, yes, it was something different. But AEW, you've done it to death.
Yeah, the Battle Royals, the triple tag, and all that stuff. But
I still say the one promotion that did it the best for the triple tag matches, ECW.
Yeah, ECW did good.
Because they did it with the eliminations.
Right, and they didn't do a lot of tag, triple threats. They did mainly the 3 guys. But they did do tag ones, and when they did, I agree, when they did tag ones, they did them right. So, the next match, the match of the night, in my opinion, Shawn Michaels, the Heartbreak Kid against Chris Jericho. Way too long of an entrance for Shawn Michaels. I think his music played like twice. He's blowing off the streamer guns like Johnny B. Bad used to do, and half of them didn't even go. You know what I mean? So it was way too long, and amazing match, one of the best ever at WrestleMania. I mean, I put it up there with Steamboat and and Macho Man. I really think it was.
Ooh yeah.
This one was obsessed with the Ask Him thing.
Ask Him.
As we were watching it, he just kept saying it every time. Anything resembling a submission hold was being played.
Ask Him.
It was ridiculous. I wanted to punch him in the face, to be honest. But Shawn Michaels won with a roll up, and then they hugged after the match, and
Boom.
Jericho gave him a low blow. Great way to, keep the feud going. Great stuff. The world title match, Triple H with the Nature Boy against Booker T. King, I love when you do the comedy, but man, he was laying it on way too thick there with Booker T. With the whole, Booker T had been in jail stuff. And you could tell at one point, JR was going with it for a while, and then JR was legitimately getting pissed at King because he kept going after Booker T for being in jail. It got to the point where JR was genuinely, kind of like when Heyman was with JR. You could tell at some points JR was legitimately getting angry, with the stuff that Paul Heyman was saying. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like King's commentary and stuff, but sometimes the comedy went way too long, so.
Can we talk about a little bit on the hard cam? One of my favorite luchadors, La Parca.
Yeah, we have Super Brawl 7 from 1997 playing behind the hard camera. Like we've said, just something to kind of, so we're not just staring at the camera the whole time. Flair interfered a couple times and Triple H retained the title. A lot of people think Booker T should have won it. I do too, but...
Can we talk about what was supposed to happen?
Yes, you can.
Yes, Booker T was originally supposed to win that world title.
Yeah.
But backstage politicking from Triple H.
Right.
Which was phenomenous at this time.
Yeah. But what are you going to do? I mean, Triple H was going to stay champion, and that's the way it was.
Right.
The next match, Vince McMahon against Hulk Hogan. Amazing backstory video. The integration of Mean Gene was always really good.
You mean Vince being a drap on ice?
Yeah, he's clearly on steroids at this point. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You can't tell me that a man in his 60s that was that jacked. And, no, I'm sorry. He can't even fall over normal. No. Like, when Hogan would give him a punch, he would just crumble He'd crumble like Mick Foley did when he had the Hell in a Cell match when Undertaker punched him.
Yeah.
That was because he couldn't stand up. Vince McMahon just crumbles, like, I don't know, House of Cards. It's horrible. But he did do the big leg drop off the ladder onto the announce table on Hogan. That looked pretty cool.
Where he almost decapitated himself.
Yeah, when the side of the table hit him in the back of the head. Yeah, that looked pretty gnarly. My favorite part, though, Roddy Piper shows up and teases hitting Vince McMahon with a steel pipe and then hits Hogan with it.
See, we did have a reason to have the Piper fight.
Yeah, to be honest, I didn't even think about that, so there you go. And I've met Roddy Piper, so that makes me happy. And to integrate him into it, I think it'd be better if it was at WrestleMania 20, because, the 20th anniversary, he was at WrestleMania 1, he was at WrestleMania 10. But I get why they did it here, because he had history with both guys in the match. Made total sense. Hogan wins with 3 leg drops. If you expected Vince McMahon to win this match, you're clearly not a wrestling fan, I'm just saying.
Oh, and we forgot to mention that Hogan's career was on the line.
Oh, that's right. And of course, Hogan juiced, which Hogan does. Brother, he's got to bleed in the big matches, which so did Ric Flair, so did a lot of guys. But I think this was your match of the night, Austin versus Rock.
Yes.
The third match, and I liked the first 2. This one was really good.
Well, no, actually, still my match of the night has to be Brock Kurt, but
okay.
This is second.
You said this was your favorite Austin match.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. A major whip into the steps on the Rock by Austin. He really took it hard, like it dislodged the steps and straight with his shoulders. My favorite thing out of this whole match, it made me laugh so hard, was King was talking about how Austin had metal knee braces and how they could be used as weapons. And JR says, what the hell would you make a knee brace out of? Cotton candy. That totally popped me. I laughed at that. At times, JR would have some great comebacks, and that was definitely one of them. 3 rock bottoms, The Rock wins, and Austin's last match until his match with Kevin Owens at WrestleMania 38.
Yep.
I didn't even think about that, but that's true. And of course, at the end, The Rock, like said stuff to Austin, thanked him and said he loved him and all that stuff. So that's pretty cool. But the WWE title, the main event, Brock Lesnar against Kurt Angle. Angle comes in as champ. The German suplex into the buckles on Lesnar made me cringe.
Oh, I know.
No one want, at least it wasn't Angle having it done to him with the
Right.
neck. Because if you don't know, Kurt Angle came into this match with a broken neck.
And it was a couple of days later, of course, Michael Cole on commentary. Oh, Kurt wound up breaking his neck in this match. No, he did not.
But I get why they did that, because that's what they do. But,
yeah.
We got a typical cluster luchador thing going on right now, and La Parka and Super Calo, but I always enjoyed the luchador stuff on WCW. I think they did it right in WCW.
Just didn't treat them right, though.
Right. I would say Brock and Angle was a classic match. Lots of submissions, lots of suplexes. And then, of course, the one thing that everybody remembers.
Yes!
Messing up the shooting star press after the second F5 that he hit.
Yep.
I mean, he was trying to get all the way across the ring to hit Angle. And
I did say that he should have went with the other side.
Yeah, because it would have been closer. But I think that if Angle had been closer in the buckle that he was in, he would have broken his neck. Because if you notice, when his head hits, he slides and he hits Angle afterwards.
Yeah.
If Angle had been a little closer, he probably would have jacked his forehead on Angle's body and would have broken his neck. But the fact that Angle was farther out, his head slid across the mat instead of onto Angle.
Yep, and
I think that saved him from having a broken neck, to be honest. But that's just me. A third F5, Brock's new champ.
Which was not even supposed to happen right there, because the shooting star press was supposed to be the actual finish to the match.
And the fact that he could do the F5 after, almost killing himself is crazy. Shows you the man's a freak.
He really is a fucking freak. Sorry.
Man, that's alright. At least it wasn't 30 seconds in like it usually is.
Right.
But after the camera, and all that stuff, you could see...
Well, PG-13, we can get away with it.
Okay, but that the lights were on, but nobody was home with Brock. He clearly had a concussion. And
no one there.
No, yeah. It's not hard to tell that.
Oh, yeah. And how many matches have we seen where the superstars like that, besides Brock?
Right.
Numerous of them.
Right. So I wanted to show something. This is something that I found at a garage sale. If you don't know what that is from 1996. The Shawn Michaels, biker hat. It's got the WWF logo on the back. It's still... It's called the world's largest garage sale in Warrensburg, New York. The whole town is nothing but garage sales, vendors all along the main drive. I was walking by a house, and this was just on a peg like this. It was just up like this, and I saw the pattern, and I knew exactly what this was just by seeing the zebra print pattern on it. And when I walked up, and I pulled the brim up, and I saw that it was I immediately... I didn't care what the price was. I was buying this, and it was $10. And I don't even think they knew what they had.
Right.
It's like they had no other wrestling stuff. It was just, I think this was just something that they had no idea what it was. So I just wanted to show that. I thought that was cool.
Because look how much it is on WWE Shop, and it's the red one that they have on there, and they want $70 for it.
Right, and that's a remake. That's not even one of the original ones like this one is. So I just wanted to show that. And these I didn't show when I got back from my vacation, but they came in and I forgot about them. These are going to go on my hockey jersey, my Cheap Pops hockey jersey that we showed on one of our older episodes. But we got the Bullet Club, the old school, my favorite, the old WWF logo, the Lucha Brothers from AEW. This one I really like. The Death Triangle from AEW. I think that looks really, really cool. I'll post a picture of these. And then the House of Black from AEW. And then the New Japan Pro Wrestling logo. My idea was, a long time ago, was to have a hockey jersey with the long sleeves and get wrestling patches on one arm and then pop culture stuff on the other arm, because that's what we talk about here. And I would wear it to conventions and stuff, and eventually that's what I'm going to do. I just want to find somebody that can do it cheap because getting a bunch of patches sewn onto something can be very expensive.
Yes.
So
Mine was a denim vest.
yeah, and that's a cool. I've got an Aces and Eights jersey that I've got a bunch of wrestling pins on too that I wear as well.
And I wanted to show off
That's a cool belt. I mean, other than it being the stupid huge WWE logo, that's one of the commemorative ones, right?
Yep.
I mean, that's pretty cool. I like that. I mean, that's good quality. I like that a lot.
For $200, and it was from Toys R Us when it was still in business.
Yeah, I'd like to see Toys R Us come back.
This was the only reason why I wanted to bring it on, because it was from Toys R Us. My dad got me this for $200.
That's awesome. Is that the Christian Bale Batman?
Yes.
That makes me happy. It's like so expensive to find one of those now, and I really want one. And I saw that display of him sitting in the jail cell from The Dark Knight, and I really want that too, because that looks really, really
And this is the Heath Ledger Joker.
Yep. Yeah, that's the Joker I want. Yeah. So, my favorite Joker. So let's get into, because you watched this last night.
Yep.
Into AEW World's End. I thought it was a good pay-per-view, but I have to agree with my buddy Dave. It did seem like it dragged. It seemed like the matches didn't have the same flow that they usually do, and they kind of dragged on a little bit. But the first match, a Continental Classic 8-man tag.
I'll be honest, I fast-forwarded.
I figured. Claudio Castagnoli, Danny Garcia, Mark Briscoe, and Bryan Danielson against Brody King, Jay Lethal, Roosh, and Jay White. I'd say it was a good 8-man tag. I loved how Brody King pumped out Daddy Magic, who was doing commentary. He said, "What are you going to do? Nothing, you're a bitch." And Daddy Magic just kind of sat back down, which I thought was really funny. Garcia rolled up Lethal for the win, and then Mark Briscoe danced with Danny Garcia after the match, which I thought was, not danced with him, but danced next to him, did Danny Garcia's dance, which I thought was funny. I mean, it wasn't anything special. I like AEW, but sometimes the multi-man matches, I can pretty much tell what's going to happen. There's not going to be a lot of tags. They're going to do all their stuff, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. And I enjoy the product, but sometimes it can be predictable. Next one, Miro, who's right there. He won't stand up. He fell down. Against Andrade with CJ Perry, who of course was Lana in WWE, who is Miro's actual wife. Andrade, of course, leaving, so I thought it was a good match. They told a good story with CJ turning on Andrade, and like we said, Andrade's probably going to WWE. He never looked like he wanted to be in AEW. It looked like he was just kind of there for a paycheck.
Yeah.
Not saying there's anything wrong with that either. If I made that kind of money, I'd probably want to be there too. This match I actually enjoyed. Timeless Toni Storm against Riho for the women's title. What do you think of the Timeless Toni Storm thing?
It's pretty good.
I think the way she's leaned into the character with the black and white and the acting like she's a starlet from the 40s, I think that's really, really good. I don't think it's cheesy. I think the way that she's doing it makes it... She doesn't act like... She doesn't feel like somebody that's acting to me. She feels like she's one of the old school heels that believes everything they say. And if you watch some of the videos, like the backstage stuff that they do, where it's not shown on TV, I think it's more entertaining than just stuff she actually does on TV. So,
love the old school stuff.
Yeah, me too. I was happy that Toni Storm retained. I didn't think Riho needed it. And then Mariah May came out with rose petals at the end, and they put it in black and white, and she's throwing the rose petals. And Toni Storm's like swimming in the rose petals like Austin used to swim in the beer for the beer bashes and stuff. It's good stuff. This match you didn't like. Swerve Strickland against Dustin Rhodes. It was supposed to be Keith Lee. Nana's always good with the dancing to Swerve's music.
I saw that, and it was great.
It's great. And the music always gets me hyped. I think it's a really good theme song. They didn't really start the match until after Swerve did a double stomp on a cinder block onto Dustin's leg. And then the match starts. Dustin did the Defiant Injury comeback, and Swerve ended up winning. It was kind of thrown together because Keith Lee wasn't medically cleared. I don't get the hate on it. I think Dustin Rhodes is a great performer.
He really is.
But it wasn't... They didn't mesh well, in my opinion. But I've seen people that are just dogging Dustin, saying he should retire and stuff, just because of one match. Like, do I think Chris Jericho should retire? Absolutely, and we're going to talk about him later. Actually, we're going to talk about him in this next match. But
speaking of Rey Mysterio earlier, Ray versus, I think, Prince Iaukea?
Yeah.
Yep, for the TV title.
And a horrible match at that, but whatever. Yeah, we're going to talk about Jericho right now. Chris Jericho, Sammy Guevara, Darby Allin, and Sting against Powerhouse Hobbs, Takeshita, Big Bill, and Ricky Starks. Big Bill and Ricky Starks are the am I boring you again?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Are the tag champions. Loud boos for Chris Jericho. If you don't know what's going on, allegations of sexual harassment have come out about Chris Jericho. And there's people defending him, and okay, I get innocent until proven guilty.
Yes.
Totally get that. But if a woman had to sign an NDA to not talk about what happened, something went down. I'm sorry. I'm going to say that every time. If nothing happened, why is she signing an NDA?
Right.
Especially a younger woman. And I've seen people defend him go, oh, well, he's a married man. He wouldn't come on to her. Excuse me? You're telling me that married women or married men don't ever come on to younger women or make passes at women or sexually harass women just because they're married? What world are you living in?
Should we talk about Vince?
Exactly. That's what I said. You know, like, did these guys learn nothing from the Dark Side of the Ring controversy with Ric Flair? All the stuff that's come out with Vince McMahon. You cannot get away with this stuff anymore. Whether they sign an NDA or not, this stuff is going to come out. It is. And because there's somebody in the company that didn't sign an NDA that's going to release this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So people were chanting Kylie Ray. They were chanting NDA. He needs to come off of TV for a while. Because that's going to be... Yes, they're going to sing his song because they always sing his song. But the crowd is not going to forget this. And like I said, innocent until proven guilty. But to me, where there's smoke, there's fire. And if you listen to him talk, if you listen to his podcast, he believes that he is the greatest man on the planet. He believes all the hype about him. He believes everything he does is great. So I can totally see him telling a girl to come to his locker room and being there alone and making a pass at her. Can totally see it. And I might be wrong, and it might be that he didn't do it. And that's fine if that comes out. And they can say, well, you know, I told you so, he didn't do anything. Fine. But to me, an NDA smells fishy. I'm just saying. With all the NDAs that Vince McMahon had women sign and
all the money that he was shelling out.
Yeah, exactly. That smell. And Jericho gives me a Vince McMahon vibe totally with the way that he acts.
And we said it best with the South Park episode where Gerald smells his own farts.
Yeah, he's smug, yeah. And also, Jericho was also on record at, I don't know if it was an interview or a podcast, talking about Chris Benoit, saying that married men, as a married man, he can understand how someone would kill their wife. You're saying the silent part out loud, dude. That's a bad look for you to say something like that. You know what I mean? I get that Benoit was your friend, but to say that you could see how a justification for somebody killing their wife, I can see how you might sexually harass a woman too. Just saying, you know. It was a crazy style 8-man, which I expected. You know, it Sting's last time wrestling in New York, which kind of sucks because you know the way. And I just noticed that this is actually kind of going back and forth between colors a little bit.
Yep.
Kind of like
that. Right there.
Like it's the actual blimp. I like that. I just noticed that. But I digress.
I didn't even know it did that.
Right? Sammy Guevara.
Yep, there it goes, right there again.
Hit his shooting star for press for the win. I mean, like I said, it was a typical AEW 8-man tag, and they were going to do the same kind of stuff they did in the other 8-man tag. But so how much of this did you actually fast forward through? Most of it? Everything but the main event?
Yes.
I hate you sometimes. You know, I watched the entire thing. Like,
I was only looking for one match.
I'm just going to start giving you the matches that you like instead of taking the time to get it to you. Like, this is just ridiculous. The next match, the TBS title, House Rules, the House of Black. Abaddon picked that biting could be legal. Okay, I don't. I would pick, that I could set her on fire. It might be legal or something devastating other than biting. But with Abaddon's character, I guess I kind of get it.
She's a biter, people.
Right. Abaddon against Julia Hart. Julia Hart comes in as champion. At one point, there was a "This is spooky" chant, which I thought was kind of funny because they both do have kind of spooky characters. Julia Hart not as much as Abaddon. Abaddon is calling herself the Living Dead Girl, which. How Tony Khan is not licensing Living Dead Girl by Rob Zombie.
That's what I thought she was going to come out to.
And I did too. I mean, he licenses music for all kinds of people. I mean, he's got Killswitch Engage for Roderick Strong. He's got, Jefferson Starship or whatever for Orange Cassidy. And, the Elite gets, Carry On Wayward Son, and Punk had Cult of Personality.
And Edge still has his...
Right. Well, he has his own deal with Alter Bridge. But when the Von Erichs came out, they came out to Stranglehold by Ted Nugent, so he doesn't have any trouble licensing music. And Rob Zombie has done music with WWE before. He had
Edge.
Yeah, Never Gonna Stop was Edge's for a while, and I think they used one of his themes for one of the pay-per-views as well. So
if you go back, some of the Edge's matches, they redo it with Alter Bridge's song. Yeah. Well, other ones they don't, and they actually keep it with the Rob Zombie theme song.
Right, and they do that a lot with Limp Bizkit with Undertaker. Sometimes they'll come out to his, you're gonna pay music, and then they don't overdub Limp Bizkit, which is really weird. But I don't know. I think Julia Hart did a great superplex on Abaddon, which looked really cool. Julia Hart over-rotated on the moonsault a bit, but she ended up winning. And I see a lot of people throwing shade at Julia Hart for missing the moonsault. But I want to ask, how often does Charlotte Flair miss a moonsault? Whether it's off the top rope to the floor, or in the ring, or... I think every time I've ever seen her try a moonsault, she's missed it. So, I'm not saying don't do moonsaults, women, but sometimes... And now, plus, I also think that Julia Hart thought she was going to hit Abaddon in the ribs, and that's why she stopped short. But that's just me.
And Charlotte messes up all the time, people.
Yeah, she messes up a lot of stuff. So,
but yet she's the greatest women's wrestler.
Yeah. Pretty soon they'll be saying like John Cena, she's the greatest wrestler of all time. But to me, this match was really, really good. The TNT title, a heel Christian against Adam Copeland, formerly known as Edge. I thought Copeland did a really good dive off of the balcony onto Christian and Nick Wayne. My favorite part of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Adam Copeland is like fighting Christian on the outside near the announcer's table, and Copeland tells Nigel McGuinness to shut up. And Nigel just turns his chair around and sits in the corner of the barricade like a little kid that got scolded. It was hilarious. And I was talking to my buddy Dave about this. Nigel McGuinness has been dogging Brian Danielson, Daniel Bryan, whatever you want to call him, on commentary for over a month now, calling him a clam digger and all that stuff. Daniel Bryan has announced that he's going to be retiring soon because he told his daughter he would. Nigel McGuinness is cleared to wrestle, but hasn't wrestled in years and never had a retirement match. If they're building up to a retirement match...
Between those two?
They had huge matches in Ring of Honor back in the day. You could use all that footage because Tony Khan owns that.
Yes.
The promos between Nigel McGuinness and Bryan Danielson would be amazing. You have Nigel McGuinness put together a group to go against the Blackpool Combat Club. You could build it so huge. Do multi-man matches to lead up into them finally having the singles match. Having him dog him on commentary to the point where he gets fired from commentary and has to become a wrestler. There's so much you could do with it. That's my prediction now. If he keeps doing the commentary where he's burying Bryan Danielson, they're going to lead to a retirement match for the both of them. I think that would be amazing.
It would.
So, that's all I'm saying. But back to the match.
My favorite portion of the match.
Yes.
The flaming table.
Oh yeah, let's talk about that. They set the the table on fire. Christian and Nick Wayne's mom did at one point, and nobody got thrown through it. And then Copeland put more lighter fluid on it, set it on fire, went to powerbomb Nick Wayne through, and he almost missed it completely. Hardly ever touched the fire, but jumped around like The Rock taking a stunner, as if he was actually on fire.
He was like a fish out of water, people.
Right, which was really cool. I don't know who mentioned it, but somebody did. It might have been Nigel. Mentioned that the gear that Edge wore was the same gear that he wore and vest that he wore when he wrestled Mick Foley at WrestleMania 22, which made me think, okay, well, they're going to set a table on fire because that's the gear he wore when last time they set a table on fire. So, Christian at one point did a Boston Crab onto Edge with a chair across his neck, which I thought was really, really cool, a really cool visual. And then this thought came to my mind. They used tables, they used ladders, they used chairs. All I could think of was Mick Foley. Tables and ladders and chairs. Oh my! That's all I could think of. Christian got speared through the table, and like you said, Nick Wayne kind of powerbombed through the flaming table. Copeland won the TNT title, but only held it for a little bit because this was a really cool camera shot, in my opinion. Luchasaurus, or Killswitch as he's known now, kind of emerged through the camera shot behind Copeland. And earlier in the pre-show, he had won a TNT title shot, and of course he was going to cash it in at that point. But of course, Christian Cage, being the heel that he is, took the title shot from him and regained the TNT title, which is a great thing because Christian Cage is a great heel, and him having the title makes it great.
I'm wondering if they're going to lead towards him turning on Christian.
Oh, I would imagine that's probably what they're going to do. And I also think that because they integrated the tables, the ladders, and the chairs, it is going to lead to a TLC match. They won't call it that. They might call it like the Full Metal Mayhem, like Impact does. But I think that's where it's going to lead because they incorporated all that stuff. It's going to be for the title. They're going to put, you hang it high. They're both known for that. That's their signature match. Why wouldn't you do that?
Right.
You know what I mean? So I thought it was a really good match. But my actual favorite match of the night, the Continental Classic Triple Crown Final for the Ring of Honor World title, the New Japan Strong Openweight title. And if you don't know what the Strong part of that is, Strong is the name of the New Japan show that plays on Access TV. I think a lot of people get like, what's Strong in there for with Openweight? And Google, people. It's a wonderful thing. That's,
Google magic.
Right. So, but Jon Moxley against Eddie Kingston. I really like Eddie Kingston. I was first introduced to Eddie Kingston in Impact when he was the leader of the new LAX of Santana and Ortiz. And I think Diamante was with him for a while as well. That's where I first saw him. Well, he was with the DCC.
Yes, and I remember him from that.
Was the DC? I can't remember if the DCC was first. Was it? So, yeah, but either way, you could tell he was a good talker, but when he got into AEW, you could really see what he had, and I think he's one of the best talkers in the business. Bryan Danielson was on commentary. Eddie Kingston did a dive to the outside, and it looked pretty gnarly because he pretty much went headfirst into the guardrail, and brutal chops. That's what I expected, that if you got Moxley and Kingston, they're just going to stand there and chop each other and stuff. There was one where Eddie Kingston hit him, and Moxley went down to his knees and was like, hang on for a minute, because he really hit him really hard. Right. Eddie Kingston won, with the spinning back fist, and so Eddie Kingston's a Triple Crown champion. They gave him a new belt with a crown on it. He's the Mad King. Perfect way to end it. If Swerve didn't end up winning this tournament, the fact that Eddie Kingston put up both titles to get in the tournament and then ended up winning it, I don't think it gets better than that. And then Moxley and Eddie Kingston hugged at the end. If you know anything about Moxley and Kingston, they have a huge history together.
Oh, so yeah.
Completely understood that. Right now, me and Gene, interviewing the Giant, I love old school. I love mid-90s.
Let me tell you something, Mean Gene.
Yeah, back when the Giant was doing his best Hulk Hogan impersonation in every promo. So, but your favorite match of the night, the main event, MJF, the AEW champion, against Samoa Joe. I thought the opening video for MJF with all the people from Long Island was really funny, including the one girl talking about how MJF banged her and stuff like that, about almost everything she said. And then, of course, he points to the backstage area. Out comes Adam Cole on crutches, and we'll talk about that after. MJF playing the vulnerable champion with the torn labrum and all that stuff. And Samoa Joe's the perfect guy to do that with, because he's a beast, because he's the Samoan submission machine. To have a vulnerability as the champion leads into his stuff perfectly, in my opinion.
Yes.
And having Taz on commentary, who has a history with Samoa Joe, and who also knows the moves, knows the holds, and knows like the judo and all that stuff, is the perfect guy to have on commentary for that stuff. So, the muscle buster on the ring apron. Man, even if you're not hurt, I don't know how you agree to take that stuff. That's just...
Right?
I don't get how they... but I thought it was a good match. But at the end, MJF wants the Dynamite Diamond Ring, and Adam Cole is going through all his pockets, fumbling, trying to find it. And, of course, that gives Samoa Joe enough time to recover. Joe catches him from behind, gets the choke on him, and wins the AEW World title. I'm glad that they didn't have MJF tap out. The three arms, going up and down. I will agree with a lot of people that Bryce Remsburg waited way too long to ring the bell after the third drop, looking like he was confused. He should have just rung for the bell right away. There was no reason to sell that at all, but whatever. And then, of course, what everybody talks about and what was really well done, in my opinion,
the Devil storyline.
The Devil was revealed. Of course, three guys come in, and two of them hold down MJF. The other one, or was it four? Four. Two guys hold down Adam Cole. Two guys hold down MJF, and then one guy is going to hit MJF Cole with the chair. MJF begs the guy to hit him with the chair. They
were swearing, people.
Right. But then the lights go out, and then when they come back up, Adam Cole is sitting in a chair with the four guys behind him, and they all take off their masks. It's Matt Taven and Mike Bennett, the Kingdom, who had just won the Ring of Honor World titles as the Devil's Masked Men, and then Wardlow and Roderick Strong. If you've watched any of AEW, you know exactly what led up to all this with, Adam Cole and Roderick Strong as if they were, on the outs and all that, the Kingdom and all that stuff. Really well done. If it had been anybody else, I think it would have... like you said, Samoa Joe, it would have been good, but Samoa Joe was already winning the title, so, it doesn't make sense. But Adam Cole, it was really well done. That knee by Roderick Strong to set up the beatdown on MJF, I think that's the best knee that Roderick Strong has ever thrown. It was amazing. I'm really interested to see where it goes tomorrow night. We're recording this on Tuesday, on the 2nd of January, and I'm really interested to see where it goes on Dynamite, where they go with this, what the explanation is, and if MJF comes out, or if they keep him off of TV for a while.
Right.
Kind of fuel the speculation that he's going to WWE. I thought it was really well done, and it wasn't a great pay-per-view, but I think ending it that way was really, really good. So, what's up? Well, we're going to go right into it? All right, I like it. Next pick's number 2. This one I wasn't sure about, because I hadn't seen it in a long, long time. But it was a really great pick. There was a lot of good matches. The Great American Bash from 1988. Since it was your pick, do you remember what the first match was? Of course you don't, because you don't pay attention.
No, because I watched it in advance.
Yeah,
I did.
As if you ever remember.
No, because my favorite match of that was the Tower of Doom match.
But the first match was Tully Blanchard and Arn Anderson against Sting and Nikita Koloff for the NWA World Tag Title.
I knew Sting was in there somewhere.
I thought it was a good old school tag match. The crowds in 87 and 88 for the NWA were amazing. They were into everything, especially when Sting was involved.
Yes.
So Sting and Nikita were incredibly over.
It was weird seeing Nikita with long hair.
Yeah, with the crew cut. Yeah, it really was, because he had the shaved head for so long. Arn and Tully retained the titles. And then they went right to another tag title match, the U.S. tag titles.
But it was weird how they actually retained the title.
I don't even remember how they retained the title.
I think time. I think it was time ran out.
Oh, was it a time limit draw? Yeah, it might.
Yes, I think it was a time limit draw.
But the U.S. tag titles, I thought this was a good match. The Fantastics, who came in as the champions against the Midnight Express. Jim Cornette, suspended in a cage wearing a straitjacket. And the classic Jim Cornette. He's being the mama's boy. He's trying to bribe the ref so that he doesn't put the straitjacket on him. And the ref, by the way, was Dick Worley. A lot of people don't know who Dick Worley is. I actually met him way back in the day, probably 2009, 2010, when the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame was in Amsterdam, New York. I met him, and I thought it was cool to see him as the referee for it. I thought that was pretty cool. Amazing match. The Midnight Express cheat, putting a chain around their fist, and then Bobby Eaton stuffs the chain in one of the Fantastics' trunks. So when the Fantastics complain that they used the chain, the referee finds it in their tights, and they're the ones complaining. Great stuff.
Good old classic heel stuff.
Right, and then the Fantastics lashed Cornette with a belt afterwards because he had a straitjacket on and he couldn't do anything about it. Great stuff. Great stuff for Jim Cornette to play off of. But as you said, your favorite match, and I got to admit, probably mine too. The Triple Cage Tower of Doom. Jimmy Garvin's wife Precious had the key at the bottom. It's a 3-tiered cage.
Yeah.
You know, if you've ever watched Ready to Rumble, small cage, bigger cage, huge cage that encompasses the whole ring. So it's Jimmy Garvin.
But unlike the Ready to Rumble cage, it don't look like a Hell in a Cell.
Right, it was just up
like
against
a
normal cage right up against the ring. Jimmy Garvin, Dr. Death, Steve Williams, the Road Warriors, and Ronnie Garvin against Mike Rotunda, Ivan Koloff, the Russian Assassin, Al Perez, and Kevin Sullivan. The whole thing was they had to climb up to the top, and two guys would start, and then every 2 minutes another one would come in, and at that point trap doors would be opened and you could go down to the lower cages, and the whole point was to escape the cages.
Yep.
This was different than what they did in '96, where guys were in each tier and Hulk Hogan and Macho Man had to fight their way through. Different, but kind of the same concept. They had to fight their way through, but a little bit different. In this one, you had to escape the cage. All of your team had to escape to win, but they weren't all in the cages at once. So it kind of gets convoluted at times.
This one was a little bit better than '96.
Right. I do enjoy the '96 one.
Yes.
Even if just for Bobby Heenan and Dusty Rhodes on commentary.
Yes.
You know. But this is for 1988. Definitely a cool visual.
Yes.
Even though they're climbing up some sketchy ladders to get up to the top.
Very sketchy, people.
But you know, what are you gonna do? It ends up getting down to Jimmy Garvin and Kevin Sullivan. And then
you forgot about this with the ending.
Yeah, Kevin Sullivan is like choking Precious with like tape from around his wrist and dragging her around the ring by her hair and stuff. Like, you definitely could not do that today. Because they were in the cage alone. Jimmy Garvin had already escaped, so that his team had won. And then Road Warrior Hawk and Jimmy Garvin climb up, you know, and then they climb through the cages to stop Kevin Sullivan. Road Warrior Hawk does an awesome clothesline off the top rope to get Kevin Sullivan away from Precious, and then Jimmy Garvin helps her out of the cage. Really good match. I thought it was really, really good. So
the whole reason why I even picked this was the Tower of Doom match.
Right, because you would remember that it was on there. And,
yes.
Yeah, so I hadn't seen this in years, so, you know, I think I probably watched it the first time when the network came out, and I was going through some old NWA stuff. So,
and this, like you said, was a really good pick.
Right, it really was.
But this is not even the main event yet, people.
Right. We still got two more matches. For the U.S. title, Barry Windham with J.J. Dillon against Dusty Rhodes. Barry Windham coming into the match as the champion. Crowd was so into this.
Yes.
Everybody was so into Dusty at that point. He did a big backdrop on Barry Windham on the concrete floor, which looked gnarly.
Oh.
I can't imagine taking backdrops on the concrete.
And it is weird seeing how young Barry Windham is.
Yeah, Barry Windham was a beast back then. He was, and we've met him. So,
Yes.
you know, but yeah, another ref bump in this match. They did way too many ref bumps in the NWA back in the day.
And can I talk about the finish?
Absolutely.
Ron Garvin turning heel.
Sucker punching Dusty.
Yep.
And then with the ref down, Barry Windham locks on the claw hold, pushes Dusty down onto the mat, and gets a 3 count. So I think the claw hold is, I agree with, you know, a lot of people. The claw hold is one of the stupidest moves ever, but
it's well protected.
It is a real, you know, especially with the Von Erichs. And,
Yes.
the main event, though, the NWA title, Ric Flair coming in as champ against Lex Luger.
But what amazes me at this time, he's won it 5 times at this point.
Yeah.
The world title.
Yeah, that was amazing.
And I think I said in '96 he won it for the 13th time.
Yeah, yep. I thought it was a great match. I mean, Luger looked great. Flair always. I mean, despite the way he is now, you know, just a train wreck of a person. He's one of, if not the greatest wrestlers of all time. So, Luger's jumping elbow drop.
Yeah.
He does when people are laying on their back is one of the coolest visuals. It reminds me a lot of when Hawk does the jumping, you know, fist.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's such a cool visual.
In this match, people ended stupidly.
Yeah, I put down, it's a Dusty finish, and if you don't know what that means, Google that. But Luger lost due to a athletic commission stoppage for blood. He hardly had any blood on him whatsoever.
Yeah.
And he had Ric Flair up in the torture rack, and Flair was going to give up. I think actually was giving up.
Yes.
And then, so Flair retained the title. Stupid way to end it, and I just think it's dumb that they end stuff that. Dusty did that way too often, and to make the crowd think that somebody won it, and then you take it away from them, they did that a lot.
Just like what they did with the first match. That's how the first match ended.
Right, and the same with the ref bumps. You're relying on certain crutches too many times. And after a while, the crowd stops, you know, responding to it because they get used to it.
Yeah.
So you got anything else going on with you that you want to talk about? Before I go into what I'm ending with? Well, here, I want to show this first.
Yeah.
These I got off of eBay for $10 before all the crap in my life happened. So, Superstar Series, Shawn Michaels and Daniel Bryan. And if you don't know, WWE is no longer going to be doing videos of any kind. They are not going to be releasing the Blu-rays of WrestleMania as they have been. They are not going to be doing physical copies of anything ever again. So at first they said they weren't going to do the personality profiles ever again, and the Drew McIntyre one was the last one, and I made sure I bought that one. But they are never going to be doing DVDs or Blu-rays again, which I think is throwing away a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
They may not have been selling as many physical copies as they used to, but that revenue stream is gone now. Even if it was a smaller one, it was still a revenue stream. And I don't remember who made I think it might have been Brian Last or Jim Cornette on their podcast. They were talking about how you could have done it as a WWE.com thing where you order it specifically from them, and that would cut out the middleman, and you would just manufacturing them on demand.
Yeah.
But at least you still would have that revenue stream, and you wouldn't have to go through stores to distribute it. That's a great idea, in my opinion. Not my idea; it's somebody else's idea. But I think it's a great idea. There are so many people. Look at how many people are buying VHSs still. How expensive it is to buy certain VHS movies. People are still trying to buy VCRs and parts for them. People are buying vinyl records. You go into Walmart or any store like that, they're selling vinyl records. People want physical copies.
Yes.
They may not want physical copies of everything, but they want, WrestleMania? You're not going to sell a physical copy of WrestleMania? Like, how many people do you know that want to relive that and don't want to have the network to relive it? I have so many DVDs, and my family says to me, why do you have that? And then my family says to me, I don't have anything to watch today. I don't know what I'm going to watch. I have so many DVDs that I could just go through. I have a huge book of them. I can just go through and say, oh, I haven't seen this one in a while, and pop it in and watch it. You know?
Me, I have crates full. Literally, totes full. You've been inside the house.
Yeah. And like, let's say the retrospective on a Ric Flair, it's not going to have the extras on it that the DVD had because they don't put the extras on the network.
Right.
No streaming service which I like, because like The Princess Bride, I watched that on Disney Plus the other day because I love that movie, especially with Andre the Giant in it. But on the extras, they have like a documentary about it, and they talk about Andre on that. It's not on Disney Plus. So I have to go to my physical copy to watch that documentary, or like try to find it on YouTube or some obscure place on. But if I have the physical copy, I know it's there and I can find it.
Like on my WrestleMania 20, they have where they're talking about WrestleMania 19.
Right.
And that's where you learn about Stone Cold Steve Austin almost dying before WrestleMania.
Right. I mean, I have his audiobook on CD, so he talks about that in the book. But yeah, or like the Triumph and Tragedy of World Class. Gary Hart talks about the plane wreck he was in Tampa Bay, where Buddy Colt and somebody else died. The pilot died, and he goes through all of that. You wouldn't, I mean, it's on YouTube as well, which now that I say that, they'll probably take it down. Yeah. But if you didn't know that was an extra on the DVD, and then you watch the Triumph and Tragedy of World Class, the extra matches aren't on there. Yeah, you can find the matches by looking up the dates, but why when I've got it on the DVD and I can just watch every single match straight off the DVD?
Exactly.
It makes no sense to me, especially when your streaming service doesn't have all of your content on it.
Exactly, because how much of WCW Saturday Night we want to watch?
Yeah, we were talking about that. There's so many stuff, like when Macho Man debuted on WCW Saturday Night, or
Hulk Hogan.
Right, when Jimmy Hart took over WCW Saturday Night, and he was using Chris Benoit and Dean Malenko and, you know, Booker T and Chavo Guerrero, people that they weren't really using on Nitro all the time, but Jimmy Hart was using him on WCW Saturday Night. I think that's, you know, that stuff, and they said at the beginning, all of their content was going to be on there, and then you sell it to Peacock, and Peacock is editing out stuff. The Nation of Domination, you know, parody by DX, that's edited off the network. I have it on the Monday Night Raw DVD, actually a couple, and I think it's on the DX DVD as well, and the VHS, which I still have a copy of as well. Yeah. So they're editing stuff out. So I have it on the physical copy. I can always go back and watch that and enjoy it and not have to worry about trying to find these Monday Night Raws or trying to go on YouTube, or when I know I can go grab, I've got a huge 350, you know, huge book with my DVDs in it, and I can just go, it's right there, I can just grab it. So I think well, then again, they're making money in spite of themselves, so, you know, but I saw these, they're pretty cool. It pretty much goes with Daniel Bryan from 2010 to 2012, where he won the Triple Threat Steel Cage match with Big Show and Mark Henry. And then the Shawn Michaels one has him and Chris Jericho from Judgment Day of 2008, and it ends with his retirement match from 2010. So, I mean, I think they're, you know, for $10.
And we're going to put, in quotes, retirement.
Yeah, because he wrestled that crappy match with Triple H against the Brothers of Destruction, which was in Saudi Arabia, which was just horrible. But before we end, we haven't talked about this a lot, but we will be having a table. I am making sure, I just started a new job. Well, I'm starting it tomorrow. But I'm going to make sure that I get this day off. We have reserved, as we did last time, a table at the Wrestling Classic number 4. Saturday, March 23rd. I sound like Dusty Rhodes. Or no, I sound like Pat Patterson, Nort Hubert, 23rd. Saturday, March 23rd in Springfield, Massachusetts. I did not put down the name of the venue. Go on Facebook, look up Wrestling Classic, look up Zombie Hideout, look out Captain's Corner. You'll find it. I have posted stuff on our social media, and every single picture of the people that are going to be there has the name, the date, where it's going to be on the bottom of it. But I think if I say Springfield, Massachusetts, and you Google Wrestling Classic, it should come up. I'm just saying.
Just look up 23rd.
Yeah, 23rd, yeah. I'm never going to live that one down. Just like you're never going to live down making me watch that awful Winnie the Pooh Blood and Guts or Blood and Honey movie. You're never going to live that down. They announced...
People, if you want to torture somebody, make them watch that movie.
Yeah. It was torture. I felt like Chinese water torture. I was going to be waterboarded. The first headliner they announced was Eric Bischoff. Great for me. I think I've showed it on the show before. A Monday Nitro, or not Monday, a Nitro Grill menu cover from when the Nitro Grill was out in Las Vegas.
Yes, because you had, I do believe you had DDP sign that as well.
Yes. Did I have? Yeah, I think I did.
I
had him sign the last WCW magazine with him on it. But I don't know if I might have had him sign the thing as well. But it has Scott Norton, Scott Hall, Scott Steiner, triple threat of Scots on there, and Glacier. So to get Eric Bischoff on there is going to make me very happy.
Yes.
I mean, the man that created Monday Nitro. And to get a picture, I think we ought to do a double picture.
Yes.
I kind of want to do a double picture with him, and then I'm going to wear my Aces and Eights vest. I kind of want to do one where I'm turned around and he's like pointing at the vest. I think that would be cool too. So Eric Bischoff, that's a cool headliner. They just announced Rob Van Dam. They announced this yesterday, Rob Van Dam as a co-headliner. I believe they're going to announce another one, but let's run down through some other ones. Matt Riddle, Elias, Ezekiel. I think he's going by Elijah now. That's going to draw fans. It's going to draw people in. He just came off of WWE TV. It may not be something that I kind of want to get a picture photo op with him just because. But it's going to draw people. It's going to draw casual WWE fans. Matt Riddle's going to draw. He was in a high-profile thing with Randy Orton. He's going to draw people.
He might draw some stoners too.
Right. We've met Shane Douglas before. Or were you with us when we met Shane Douglas?
No.
No. Okay, I've met Shane Douglas before. Shane Douglas and Francine. If you've watched it,
I was with you when you wanted to meet Francine.
Yes, and yeah. So to meet Francine, to finally get her on my my kendo stick, because if you ever watch old school ECW, she would stroke the hell out of Justin Incredible's kendo stick on the outside of the ring all the time, and in backstage promos. So to get her on the kendo stick will be actually make me happy, and to meet her. And she's got a good podcast. I really enjoy her podcast as well. I love listening to wrestling podcasts, especially when I'm at work.
You just want her to stroke your kendo stick.
I kind of do. I kind of want to see if she'll do a video for us stroking my kendo stick. And I don't mean... I actually mean the physical... Go grab it real quick. Go grab the physical, actual... What I'm talking about. Yes, let's actually do that before I end up getting myself into trouble. This...
Before we get ourselves kicked off YouTube.
This I bought on FYE, I believe, at one point. It has Sabu. I hate that he signed it here, but...
You're deadly kendo stick!
Right, yeah. We talked about that on another show. But it has Raven, which is the reason for the story. Rob Van Dam, because I met him in 2013, right before he returned to WWE for Money in the Bank. Sandman, Joel Gertner is on here. Joey Styles is on here. Mick Foley is on here as Cactus Jack. Little Guido. Rhino is on here. Tommy Dreamer. Dreamer's just starting to fade a little bit. I might actually... but I think I'm going to get Francine right up here where she used to go all the time. But I love this thing. I'm eventually going to get a sword display kind of thing to put this on.
Right off from Amazon, they're cheap.
And I have a lot of the old school ECW action figures. They're the original ones that I'm going to put on pedestals behind it. I think that'll be a really cool display, and I'll show that at some point. But I love this. I just bought, as I showed on an earlier episode, the Terry Funk action figure where he's got the ECW title. So yes, I'm going to open that, and he's going to be behind this. But I just wanted to show this.
Can you imagine if you can get the ECW title to go underneath this?
Right, yeah.
From the WWE shop?
Oh, New Jack is on here, too. Yeah, that's right. New Jack is on here. Because I met him and Sandman at the same time, so... But I will get her to sign that. And actually, Shane Douglas is not on there, so I might have him sign it as well. But let's see. So Francine, Shane Douglas, Barry Windham is going to be there. Enzo Amore. He hasn't been on TV in a long time, but he was charismatic. People loved him. He'll draw tickets. Brooke Tessmacher, I've met her a couple times. She'll be there. And the British Bulldog's daughter, is going to be bringing some of his ring gear and the leather jacket that was made into a vest that Bulldog wore when he was part of the Hart Foundation. She's going to have that too. My friend Dave was like, that's not a selling point for me. I think it's cool that she's going to be bringing that stuff. I'm not saying I'm going to pay to have my picture with that stuff, but I think it's cool that she's going to be there, and that's something different. I like, not just the same old vendors and all that stuff. So, I think that's really cool. So we will be there, be doing trivia. We'll be handing out stuff. Got our sticker packs that we're going to be handing out.
People really liked our trivia stuff.
They did. They did really like the trivia. I love doing that. I can't wait to do it again. So we will be there. Stop by, say hi, tell us you like us, tell us you hate us, whatever. But be sure to follow our social media: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. All of it is at Cheap Pop Show. We have our merch at cheappops.redbubble.com. We have a website, an actual website, cheappopshow.com, and it's pretty much, I kind of want to do more with it, but I'm not good with that stuff yet. But it is basically, you can find all our social media on that page, and it has our logo on it, and I just think it's cool. It makes us legit that we have our own website. I'm just saying, we own our own website. We own cheappopshow.com. How cool is it to say that? So follow all our stuff. This should... I'm sure I'll get this up tonight.
And remember, people,
the world is yours. Thank you so much for checking us out. We love doing this. Hopefully now that my employment situation is better, we can record more often. We actually have been doing it more than we were before. So thank you so much for checking us out. I'm Dave.
I'm Nick.
Cheap Pops.
Pop guys out.
There you go.